All right, so that was an absolute just atrocity of a game. Like I would just want to give a special shout out to Chris Mother Flippin' Greer. Sorry, I can't say the actual word. YouTube hates that. Anyways, so like, okay. First and foremost, I want to put blame on him because the personnel that we rolled out there with today, atrocious. The fact that you waited so long to go and get certain pieces like Jack Jones, Rasul Douglas, and Matthew Judon, and like you're rolling out these pieces that are playing a significant amount of snaps for our defense, like, and then the pieces that you have brought in that were in here earlier in the offseason were all injured. And so, like, it's just, bro, like, and look, I was a fan of the signing of James Daniels, but the dude played, what, 4 snaps today before leaving with a pec injury and was quickly ruled out at that. So he probably has a torn pec. He's probably going to miss the season. That's just my thought process there. You trade up, and look, I was a fan of Jonah. He is a piece that I was excited about. Obviously, first game in as a starter, same thing with Patrick Paul, but they looked rough. They had some good reps here and there, but they looked rough. Keon Smith looked absolutely horrible at right guard. Austin Jackson had to help him out so much that he lost pressure on the outside. Like, it's just... And then Austin Jackson, like, look, I like Austin Jackson when he's in there, but he's never freaking in there. It's just... the pieces that you bring in, you fall in love with these affordable guys that are good when they're on the field, but they're never on the field. James Daniels, when he's in there, yes, he looks good. He looks great. Austin Jackson, when he's in there, yes, he looks good. When he looks great, but they're never there. Austin Jackson, I can't remember the last time he finished a freaking season. And look, he showed rust today because he missed all of preseason with a foot or ankle injury or whatever whatever it was. You have on the defensive side of the ball, look, we know the secondary is rough. We know it's rough. But you do nothing to help them out. Okay, Anthony Weaver, it's your time. Greer, you're done with for now. Anthony Weaver, you have one of the best front sevens in football as far as personnel is concerned. You have a deep pass rush. How can you not get pressure? The Colts, they have a decent offensive line. Decent. Not good, not great, not bad, but it's decent. How do you not get pressure with Chubb, with Phillips, with Chop, with Sealer, with Judon? Look, Jordan Phillips looks freaking amazing in camp. How do you not run stunts? How do you not send Jordan Brooks, Tyrell Dodson on freaking linebacker blitzes early and often in the game when Daniel Jones is your quarterback? Daniel Jones looks like a scared little freaking girl in the backfield when he gets pressure in the face. He's been in the NFL for damn near 10 years. He cannot play under pressure. But he didn't have pressure to play with today. We let him just sit back there for 3-4 seconds at a time, roll out, find an open receiver. And guess what? It's not that hard when your secondary is this freaking trash. Your secondary, so garbage. And then, look, Storm Duck probably tore his ACL. So now, we're even, like, bro, Artie Burns torn ACL. Freaking Cater Kohu torn ACL. Like, bring Nick Needham back in this bitch for freaking crying out loud. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Cam Smith, look, I was hopeful for you, bud, but apparently you don't have the mindset to come into work every day and work. You have an opportunity to go out and show something. Anthony Weaver, once again, Critical 3rd and short. It's like 3rd and 4 yards. 3rd and 4 yards. Why are you sending Jason Marshall Jr. on a corner blitz and then having Ifatu play like a single high safety and then come over to help? No, send Ifatu on the blitz and have Marshall guard the fucking guy. Like, are you kidding me? Play your man-to-man, send the pressure from the middle. You cannot on a 3rd and short. It is so easy. Why try to disguise a blitz like that? Don't disguise it. If you're going to disguise it, run the amoeba freaking defense where everybody's at the line of scrimmage and guys just pull out. That's how Latu got a freaking interception on Tua. I'll get to Tua in a second. We're going to get to Tua in a second. You just refused at the beginning of the game to get pressure on Daniel Jones and make him uncomfortable. Refused to send the blitz. And when you did, it was at the worst possible time and in the worst disguised blitz. How do you send Jason Marshall Jr. on a blitz on a 3rd and short? It was like 3rd and 4 yards. All the guy has to do is sit at the freaking line of scrimmage. Oh, look, I have a corner, and you're coming not even from his blind side. If you were coming from the other side, okay, maybe. Like, you were coming straight to his face. He can see that and just easily get the ball to where the open receiver is. Like, a wide open receiver, 1st down. And look, I'm not going to put too much blame on the defense in the second half. They only allowed, 6 points in the entire second half? Or no, not even. They allowed 6 points in the entire second half. Sorry, besides it was 33. So they allowed 13 points in the second half, but most of it was like at the end of the game. But like, at that point in the game, you're run down. Like they didn't really run the ball in the first quarter. They really didn't. They didn't run the ball until the second quarter. They absolutely smashed your face in after the first 2 drives and said, yeah, we're going to run it down your throats. And then you have, once again, one of the best front sevens in the NFL, and you're not stopping the run. You're getting moved. What is the deal with that? That shows me that you're unprepared. Like you have the personnel there. That is preparation. That is on coaching. And so, look, we're supposed to have a culture change. I don't see a culture change. I saw a bunch of fucking guys come in unprepared. Unprepared. That is what I saw from this defense. Unprepared, plain Jane freaking defense. You didn't run any stunts. You have, once again, one of the deepest pass rushes. And then Matthew Judon. Why? Okay, I understand you need some guys to go and play special teams. Matthew Judon has not played special teams in how many years? How many years? You're going to run him out there? And look, it was a bonehead mistake to run into the kicker. Bonehead mistake that led to a touchdown. But you cannot... why are you putting him on special teams? Why are you putting a guy that hasn't played special teams in 7-8 years on special teams? He's not worried about his job like an actual special teamer should be. I don't understand. Maybe you're putting him in there to try to get a block, but like I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. Not whatsoever. Not a single thing in my mind makes me think that should have happened. They scored on every single drive. How many 4th downs did they convert at like midfield? So you're like, oh, make sure you don't jump off sides. Don't jump off sides. They're up 3 scores. You think I give a damn if they don't get this at midfield? You haven't been able to score on them. There's a greater chance of them going forward and getting the 1st down than and don't like the penalty is just stupid, unprepared. Offensive side of the ball. All right, I already gave Chris Greer his grief for the offensive line and how it is absolute trash. I'm gonna go person by person. So we're gonna go McDaniel now. McDaniel. You're in year 4 of calling plays. I understand you didn't call plays before you got to Miami. You're in year 4 now of calling plays. Get the play call in on time. Get it in on time. There is zero reason when we go for 2, Tua has to call a timeout because the motions are running late, because you got the play call in late and you're lining up with 6 seconds left. I made a video earlier in the week saying Tua's going to have more control of this offense. Tua's going to be, there's going to be a lot less motions. He's going to be able to actually see the defense and make his adjustments properly. And he's going to be able to have more control. And we're not going to have the delay of games and the stupid timeouts. And, he's going to be able to make the adjustments so he's not, throwing a screen every freaking 2 plays. Well, guess what? Tua can't freaking read a defense, apparently. And now look, I'm exaggerating. Today, he couldn't read a defense for shit. And part of that was, once again, preparation. And I'm going to put it on both McDaniel and Tua here, because a Lou Anarumo defense, they're going to disguise their blitzes every which way. They're going to run that amoeba defense. You got to be prepared for absolutely everything. And you look like a deer in headlights. Tua, you went against that defense in practice when Brian Flores was here. It was a very similar defense to what Brian Flores runs. And you were just unprepared. Your protection, you could not get your protection lined up for absolutely anything. Now, I don't know if it was you or your offensive line just being an absolute just idiots and not listening to what you're telling them. But I'm going to go ahead and say that you just weren't lining up your protection correctly. You should have more than 2 seconds back there every snap. And part of that is the personnel, but part of that is also not aligning your protection correctly. If you align your protection correctly, account for who might come in blitz, you should be able to find the open spots on the defense and tell your receivers and get the adjustments properly. Look, Lucas Oil Stadium is not the loudest stadium in the world. A lot of Colts fans, they weren't exactly happy when Daniel Jones got the starting job. They weren't excited for this season. Dolphins fans, look, we weren't excited either. Absolutely not. We were absolutely just dreading the start of the season. And I guarantee you half the stadium is going to be empty next week when we play at home against the Patriots. Absolutely empty. It's going to be done. Gone. Empty. That being said, Tua, you got to do better, bro. You got to be able to read the defense better, align your protection better. You got to, I don't know what happened with that Latu interception. You got to make sure you're not overthrowing in triple coverage to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is not 6'2". He's not Nick Westbrook and Keeney. He's not going to be able to go and catch your overthrows. Now, look, I haven't really seen you do that too much. The last time I really saw you throw an overthrow like that was against the Packers on Christmas Day. So it's been a while. That rarely happens to you. I understand. The Latu one, that happens a little bit more than I would like. Once again, doesn't really happen too often, but the fact that it happened twice to you in, 4 drives, and then you also had that fumble, which part of it is your fault. Part of it, once again, the offensive line. You got to be able to secure the football when you're outside the pocket. And look, I know you're looking downfield. You're looking for a play to make. You got to make sure you protect that football. You got to make sure that if someone swipes at you, that you're able to not just let the football hit the ground. You have to do better than that. You have to do better than that. You absolutely have to. Now, I'm going to go on to the receivers group. Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you were a little fired up today. Cool. Why weren't you open more? Waddle, why weren't you open more? I feel like the only person that was ever open was Malik Washington. He was like the only person able to find an open space at all today. You guys are getting paid a combined almost $60 million between Tyreek and Waddle. Almost $60 million combined. And you guys couldn't get open for shit today. Help your QB out. Once again, I know it's hard to get open in 2.5 seconds. I understand. Offensive line, trash. Tua wasn't able to adjust the protection, trash. But you have to make that adjustments. Your coaches have to make that adjustments. I'm sick of it. It was all phases of the game today, just absolutely just garbage. I can't even say. The only bright spot of this game was our running game. Let me pull up the stats real quick. On our rushing attack, because it honestly it looked good. Let's see if the stats matched what it looked like, because we looked like we ran the ball pretty well. We didn't really get a chance to do that too much because we were absolutely getting clapped the entire game. Let's see here. Box score. All right. Achane averaged 7.9 yards per carry. 7.9 yards per carry on 7 carries for 55 yards. Given half of that was on one play, but regardless of that fact, Achane looked really good in the pass game as well, and he showed you that he's a tough runner regardless when he got that touchdown. 4th down, and we throw a screen 10 yards out is beyond me. It worked somehow. Ollie Gordon came in for that 3rd and short, got that 1st down for us. Tough run. It was 3rd and 1. We got 3 yards on it. I'm perfectly happy with that. I think he had 1 carry when Zach Wilson came in, but that was all backups. I don't give a crap about that. But he looked good in that aspect as well. Malik Washington had a carry for 9 yards where he was actually lined up as a running back, so that was a little weird. But yeah, I mean, just overall, that was like the lone bright spot. And look, I understand that the offensive line was more geared to, having that blocking for our run attack. I get that is what it's built for, is for our run game, and that's why our run game did so well today. But it for pass blocking, we just have to do better. And look, I'm gonna rewatch this game, and I'm gonna make another video either Monday or Tuesday. I have to rewatch the game because I have to be sure of like what I'm saying. But we just absolutely just got torched in the trenches today. And on the offensive line, on offense, look, in the trenches on offensive line, I could somewhat understand. You have 2 first-year players, Keon Smith, a backup at right guard. It's rough. You're not going to have that instant cohesion there. I understand that. Austin Jackson, like I said, missed most of training camp. I can understand that being a little rough to start, especially, the Colts offensive or defensive line is pretty decent. Latu, once again, a force there. DeForest Buckner, he's a force as well. But the defensive line, I can't even begin to have an excuse for that. I can't. I really can't. Like, I honestly, look, if Anthony Weaver didn't have a top 5 defense last year by the end of the year, I would be severely questioning him right now. I literally, my instant reaction to like halfway through this game is I wanted him fired. I wanted him on the plane ride to home just to be shoved out the window with a parachute or not. And similar to Mike McDaniel with the play calling, but I once again, I think it's more offensive line personnel, and they just need more time there. Maybe I'm just trying to be that optimistic guy. I don't know. Chris Greer needs to be shoved out of a plane, though. Would I be surprised if Mike McDaniel gets fired after this game, or Chris Greer gets fired after this game? No. I maybe a little bit. I would be probably 55% surprised if they were fired. It was just that bad. It was that bad. If it continues to trend this way as the season goes on, and look, we've always had like a little bit of slow starts, like but it's mostly been just a half, and we were covering the second half of the first game, and it just wasn't that. But if this continues on throughout the season, you have to trade some guys. You have to trade Tyreek. I would consider trading Waddle. I really don't want to trade Waddle, but I would have to heavily consider doing that if you can get a good pick for him, and I mean like good compensation for him. I would consider doing that. Tyreek, I would just trade for like a 3rd round pick at this point. Like I'm over him. I've been over him. I've said I'm over him. I wanted him gone. Look, I wanted him gone when he came off of his best season ever, and I said I wanted to draft Brian Thomas Jr., and all of y'all called me insane, but that's besides the point. I look like an absolute genius now, but you know, neither here nor there. Yeah, I wanted Brian Thomas Jr. and to trade Tyreek Hill because I wanted a guy that can run a 4.3, isn't 30 years old, and can also be 6'4" and catch any ball that's thrown his way. But besides that, yeah, just trade. I would even consider trading Zach Sealer. I love Zach Sealer. He's due for a contract soon. Well, he just got paid, but you had to consider that at one point. You can even consider trading Minka. Minka got hurt, banged up at the end of this game. I don't know what his status is either. But you got to think about trading some guys. Austin Jackson would be a good candidate to be traded. He is on a decent contract. It's not too high. It's not too low. It's pretty appropriate, and he's a pretty good right tackle when he is healthy. Once again, question his health. But you got to consider about trading those guys that can get you good compensation if this continues to ride out this way. And look, I'm going to suffer through for all of us. I'm going to go back and rewatch this game at some point, whether it be today or tomorrow. And I'm going to make another video and analyzing it a little bit more. And like trying to understand what exactly happened. Look, it's not going to be pretty. I'm going to suffer through it. And I'm going to explain to y'all whether there was anything that was kind of hopeful. Whether it was kind of just a fluke, or there's very easy fixable things there. Or the Colts are just that good. Like, maybe they are. I don't think they are. I think they suck. I think we're just worse. But I'm going to give a more analytical take on either Monday or Tuesday for y'all once I suffer through that tape. Thank you for sticking with me through my 23-minute rant now. I really appreciate y'all. Look, if this continues, it's going to be a rough season. I love Tua. He needs to do better. I love Waddle. He needs to do better. McDaniel, I like him. I think he's a smart guy. He needs to just be better. He needs to have better preparation. I know you want to be a head coach. Maybe you need to give more duties to your offensive coordinator. Maybe you need to trust Frank Smith a little bit more. Maybe you need to, maybe play calling needs to go to him. It's tough. There's a reason Nick Sirianni, he called plays his first couple years as head coach, and he gave up play calling. He took it back and then gave it up, took it back, gave it up. There's a reason that he doesn't have play calling duties right now. There's a reason he didn't call plays and they won the Super Bowl. You don't need to, you could be a good play caller as an offensive coordinator, and you could be a good head coach without being a play caller. You could be a good head coach while being the play caller. I understand. And it's not necessarily that you're calling bad plays. It's that the timing of getting those play calls in. You're being indecisive. You got to be assertive with those play calls. You got to get them in quick and allow Tua to just read the offense. And Tua, you need to be Brady. You need to be Breeze. You need to be Peyton Manning. I've said this throughout your entire career. If you are going to be a great QB in this league, you need to be able to read a defense better than they know themselves. You need to be able to know exactly what they're going to do before the snap happens. And look, you did a very good job of that at times the last few years, but you need to be a lot more consistent with it. I liked the scramble that you had where you actually ran and slid. That was a very smart play. That needs to happen a little bit more. You need to extend plays a little bit more. Look, you're not the fastest quarterback, but you have at least a little bit of that mobility. You're not, stuck in your feet like Manning was or Brady was. You can extend plays a little bit. So let's do that. Let's focus on that. And we just got to be better. Like every aspect of this game. Like running obviously could have been a little bit better. You can't really ask for too much more than you did from Achane today. He was outstanding. That was about it. That was like the only bright spot was Achane. Everything else is just absolutely terrible. I got nothing, bro. I emptied the tank 26 minutes now. If y'all have been here this long, throw up the heart emoji. I love y'all. Hopefully this does not continue. We'll see.